Hey guys, this is Bo. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, man. We are coast to coast, east and west, north and south. And you know what? We're bringing Bill Houlihan back in the house again to have a conversation about Red Wings hockey. How you doing, Bill?
Good, man. I'm sorry I haven't been able to get in touch with you lately. My fault.
Hey, you know what? When someone has a work style like yours, totally acceptable, man. We've been slammed over here ourselves. There was football playoff in Division II and Division III. There's also talk of the Division I programs being knocked off. And I say if you're undefeated, you're undefeated. You should get the ride. I don't care if you play the Little Sisters of St. Mary's every year. You should be able to play Go Hawaii.
Yeah, well, hey, you know what? You know where I stand on that. Anybody but Ohio State.
Hey, baby, you know what? I call them the fake eyes. Every blog that I'm on, I call them the fake eyes, and I get ripped. And you know what? They bought their championship years ago with Miami, flat out. They snuck in and got spanked by a better team after they were touted to win. The Big Ten right now has a lot of work to do. And let's not go to Notre Dame. Poor Notre Dame needs, a limp, a prayer, and some lucky Irish good Blarney Stone to come along.
Yeah, Navy got him this year, buddy. I'm telling you, that made a whole friggin' service of military men happy about that one.
Oh, I bet you they're still partying. I bet you they're still talking about it at the bars right now.
Probably.
Hey, man, you know what? I'm going to be quite honest, man. We were talking off air, quite honest. I'm going to out myself. I've been so busy with football, either my family involved in football or football playoffs from, Division I AA all the way down to NAIA, that I've just been keeping a very scantly look at the Red Wings. And Red Wings, to me, at least on paper, in the box scores and in the highlights I see, they look damn good.
Well, I tell you what, if you look at the standings right now, you see that the Red Wings are only 2 points behind Ottawa for the best record in the NHL, and they're far and above, point-wise, the best team in the Western Conference, which is what we expected, and I think, Bo, what I predicted early on. But if you look a little deeper, and if you look at who the Red Wings have lost to, it's definitely a discussion point, because the Red Wings have 6 losses in regulation. 5 of those are against the Central Division. And if any of you listeners out there know a little recent history about the NHL and about the divisional makeups and what are traditionally the stronger divisions and those who are allegedly the weaker divisions, then they would be surprised, because Detroit has lost 5 games in just over a month to a division that they lost only 5 games total out of 32 last year, the entire season. 3 of those games, have been against the Chicago Blackhawks, a team that the Red Wings have owned for a decade. And we just lost to Columbus on Saturday, lost to Nashville on Thursday on Thanksgiving. And I tell you, am I worried about the division? No, I'm not worried about the division. The Red Wings will win that division because the talent that they have will eventually rise to the top, and it just has to be matched with some more effort and probably a little better game plan against those teams. But what it does do is bring to light the fact that division, which has been ragged on mercilessly by the mainstream media, particularly the elitists up in Canada, who have felt that the Central Division is a creation of Gary Bettman, which I can't really argue with too much. But they have been ragging on that division and claiming that the Red Wings' success has been in large part due to 32 games each year against St. Louis, Columbus, Nashville, and Chicago. But this year it's a little different, because not only are the Central Division teams kicking the Red Wings' ass, they're kicking the league's ass. They have the best record against all other divisions of anyone in the league. And a lot of people are sitting up and taking notice of some very young talent in the Central that has gotten a lot better a lot quicker than people thought they would.
Well, you had one prediction that way. The second prediction was actually talking about the goalie play, and that discussion is very hot right now on all the blogs. Osgood, Hasek, who's the best, who's not. I mean, you called that one straight up.
Yeah, well, interesting. I've got another prediction for you. Here it is. Chris Osgood is the starting goalie for the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, I don't care what Mike Babcock says in the press. I don't care what anybody else says in the media or the blogs or whatever. There are some Hasek apologists out there. There are some Osgood punt bunnies out there who really have strong feelings either way. But when it comes right down to it, Chris Osgood is 10-1-2. His goals against average is 1.66, and that leads the NHL. Dominic Hasek has a save percentage of .870, and that is horrible. His goals against average is 2.89. His record is 4-5-1. And I'll tell you what, those two levels of statistics do not even out. Chris Osgood deserves to be the starter on that team, and frankly, he is the unofficial starter. The media won't say it, Mike Babcock won't say it, and they have a reason for that. Because the minute that Mike Babcock comes out in the press and says Chris Osgood has been named the starter, Dominic Hasek will go off the cliff insane. He will go absolutely nuts, and they will have a controversy on their hands in that locker room like we haven't seen in a long time in Detroit.
I hope that doesn't take place, because right now the rotation that they have between young and old, as you pointed out, is that they've really done a nice job marrying those two opposite polars together as one unit. I mean, they look good.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be a rotation. It shouldn't be a rotation. Chris Osgood should have that job. He should get 75% of the starts. Dominic Hasek should be backing him up. If we are going on record and talent and evidence of this season alone, that's the way it should be.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
If Dominic Hasek is named, regains his starting job, it is because of his reputation. And honestly, there's a lot of merit to that. But the bottom line is Dominic Hasek is not playing well. And the only way Hasek plays well is when he plays several games in a row. And as of right now, how are you going to let him play several games in a row when the only goalie on the team that's winning consistently is Chris Osgood? You know, it boils down to, what are you more concerned with appeasing a legend in Hasek, or winning games with a kid or a guy like Osgood? You know, I mean, and I tell you, from what we've seen of Mike Babcock, he's much more concerned with winning than sparing people's feelings. And I'm telling you, it's coming down the pike. And I get a lot of grief on this at my blog. I get a lot of people telling me that, you know, oh, we're okay with the status quo. We don't have to name a starting goalie. No, you do have to name a starting goalie, because the players have to know what to expect. And what they should expect is 75% of the starts going to the guy who's earned them, and that's Chris Osgood.
No, I'm going to say I'm with you as far as the goalie play goes. I like as far as the rotation on the squad and on the line changes. I like how that works out. But as far as goalies, no, I'm with you, because I don't know how many times when I was watching the Hurricanes, when they had a hot goalie doing great, they pulled him and stuck in somebody who's been sitting on the bench rehabbing a groin injury, and we lose 3 in a row and we're done. I don't want to go that route with the Red Wings. I want them to stick with what's working right now. They need to get those lines firmer up. They need to be tighter, and they need to roll with them, and they need to make sure that the goalie's there. I mean, you like you said, you're not a stat geek, but that's an important stat, is the goalie.
Yeah, absolutely. The Wings themselves, you know, the scoring is okay. They're getting a little more balance out of their second and third lines. The top line of Zetterberg, Datsuk, and Holmstrom is still the best line in the NHL. They still produce points every night. Henrik Zetterberg is an odds-on favorite to win the Hart, the MVP trophy. Pavel Datsuk is not scoring. He's not getting goals the way that we probably would have hoped, and frankly, the way I predicted he would. But that'll come around for him. And I think the second and third line scoring will probably pick up as the season goes on. It has, because the Red Wings are not going to go far in the playoffs if they're just a one-line team.
Yeah, and you know that better than me, and you know that better than a lot of people, because you're definitely diehard on this, guys. Totally, man. Now, another thing that I think is interesting is that we don't get the hate right now with the Red Wings. I was expecting to see every blog that I've been on, from CBS to Fox to US Today, check yours out, Abel to Yzerman. I don't see that really a lot of hate right now. I mean, I really don't see a lot of hate for the Red Wings.
Well, I tell you, you know, that's an interesting point, because the lack of hate for the Wings could probably correspond directly with the attendance problems the Wings are having. And a lot of people are claiming that the Wings don't have the character that they had before, and that's why the attendance problems have surfaced. And, you know, when you lose a Shanahan, when you lose an Yzerman, a Fedorov even, you know, that's going to take some of the butts out of the seats. And in turn, you know, a lot of the fans around the league don't maintain that level of hatred for the Wings that they had before. I think it's still there. I know in St. Louis they hate the Red Wings, despise us. In Colorado, the 4 fans remaining there who still know what hockey is, they don't like us either. In Columbus, I think there's actually a healthy respect between the two fan bases, because it's rooted in a rivalry that has more history than hockey, or at least the Columbus-Detroit series, and that, of course, would be Michigan-Ohio State. And really, when you look at Michigan and Ohio State, there is a tremendous amount of hatred, something that I revel in, but there's also a lot of respect there, too, between the two programs. And I think that has kind of moved into the hockey rivalry that I think is budding. I think it's going to happen eventually, because if you saw the game Saturday between Detroit and Columbus, that was good old-time hockey. There was a great fight between